If you're a smart investor, these are the 5 things you should do right now to prepare for the future interest rate cuts. I prepared a table on my Word document basically stipulating the reaction once rates go down, which we're expecting maybe not in 6 months, but maybe 8 to 12 months. So on the left hand side is the green column and the red side is the right column, and obviously this one will be advantages of lower interest rate cuts for property investors, and this is disadvantages of lower interest rate cuts for property investors. Let's go with the green. So right off the bat, reduced mortgage rates means a decrease in the cash rate, obviously. So right now it's 4.35, say it goes down to maybe 4.10 or even maybe 4%. This usually results in lower interest rates on home loans. Obviously, the RBA will pass the rates down and then the banks will adopt that, making it more affordable for property investors to finance new acquisitions or refinance home loans on their existing loans. Just to let you know, guys, 0.25 reduction in the RBA's rate means an extra $30,000 to even $40,000 of extra borrowing power. And the flow-on effect is boost in property demand. Lower borrowing costs can make home ownership more accessible, driving up demand for properties, which may result in higher property prices, which means you have more higher capital growth on your existing properties. Also, it will improve your rental returns. With lower interest rates, mortgage servicing costs decrease, which could lead to higher net rental returns, especially for investors who rely on rental income. So if you have a property in a trust, and for example, right now, if rates keep going down later, you could prove that the entity is trading properly. Major banks, not non-banks, but major banks can ignore that debt as long as we can show profitability, which can only be shown when rates go down. And then it enhances cash flow. Lower mortgage repayments can improve cash flow situations for property investors. That's a given. Freeing up more funds for maintenance, renovations, or further investments, which goes on to the last point, property value growth. So as property values rise with all these 4 situations above, it means there's more capital growth and for you to release equity and go again. But say you didn't prepare for this and you're very knee-jerk reactionary, say the rates have been passed down and you're like, oh, I just realized rates have passed down. And then what happens is this is a disadvantage of low interest rates for property investors, usually for slow investors. So what happens is the heightened competition. Everyone jumps into the bandwagon, the gravy train. Lower interest rates means can draw more investors and home buyers into the market, leading to increased competition for properties, which can make it more challenging to find attractive deals. So the properties that you have bought maybe 6 months and 7 months ago whilst we're in this market will now be 50 to 100K more expensive. And also possible decline in rental demand. If lower rates encourage more renters to become homeowners, the demand for rental properties might decrease, which could ease some pressure on the rental market. I don't know about this one. And another disadvantage is variable rate exposure. While initial borrowing costs might be lower, investors with variable rate loans, for example, they went a bit crazy and borrowed a bit more, may face higher repayment costs if interest rates rise in the future, which resulted in that, the mortgage cliff scare. And point number 4 is the same thing as point number 3. I know it's kind of redundant, but I wrote it anyway. Dependence on interest rates. The health of the property market becomes more dependent on the interest rate environment, meaning a future rate increase could exert downward pressure on the market, which sort of affects your current portfolio if you go a bit too crazy. So what are the 5 things you can do to prepare for this potential rate cut so that you fall into the green area and not the red area, right? So firstly, right now with the current market, when rates are not going up at the moment, you can, if you have existing property as investors, to enhance the value of your current property. It might be cosmetic, it might be structural, it might be just a kitchen or bathroom upgrade, or it can be just a fresh coat of paint. Number 2 is just prepare for market shifts. For example, the rate might come down, so you're preparing with trying to optimize your property value. You're not going to pull out equity yet because you're waiting for the rate to come down to then pull out the equity. All right, you're anticipating for potential market changes. Number 3, you might buy a property right now for investment purposes. Yes, right now the rate has not come down yet, but you're buying it for the fact that it will, which means you avoid the red section. So you might consider buying a property right now. Obviously, it's something that you can afford. Again, not financial advice. And number 4 is you then focus on long-term growth. For example, you buy the property right now, you're focusing on a 5 to 10 year growth. So what happens, you have an early start, because when the rates do drop, all the green things will favor that property that you purchase right now, and you'll reap the benefits 8 to 10 months later. And the fifth thing is, don't be so freaking rate conscious. Yes, the rate's a bit higher, and you're thinking, hey, in 6, 8 months or 12 months, the rates will be low and I can get into the market then. Well, you'll be sucked in because you'll be in the red section, right? You'll be out-competed by everyone freaking jumping into the gravy train, right? So you buy early. Don't be so freaking anal on the rates. I have a lot of people contacting me through like DMs, emails, and say, oh, why is the rate so high? Fuck you, cunt. You're trying to get into the market right now. Who gives a shit about the rate? What if I get you a cheaper rate 12 months down the road, you save $50 a month, but then fucking the property's 100k higher? Get in right now. Yeah, higher rate. Who gives a shit? You get into the market right now, and then you ride the green part, all right? Rather than staring at the red light where you can't go because you're fucking stuck being the slow investor. Stop counting pennies over the dollar. You see, oh, I want the cheapest rate. Fuck you. You want to be a property investor? Think long term. Stop looking at little pennies. Think about the market growth. A growth of 50 to 100 G's by getting on a higher rate now, and then you ride that capital growth. Don't think about the fucking little pennies that you can save. For fucking God's sake. Anyway, jump in the comments. Let me know what you think.